Jim Cornette is flying over to the UK early next year for a UK tour. Major milestones. Major WWE World Titles match made. And great news in the world of pro wrestling this week. Now, firstly, this is kind of a redo because I looked at my last video, Wrestling Headlines and News, and I didn't quite like it, so I thought I'll do it again without all the crap. But anyway, firstly, and I'll start with the same story, the WWE World Titles news. On Raw, COO, Chief Operating Officer Triple H, announced that on December 15th, at the TLC pay-per-view, WWE Champion Randy Orton will face World Heavyweight Champion John Cena in a tables, ladders and chairs match, where both titles will be on the line. Now, this is a historic match. It's kind of a match that many people have been wanting for many years. The World Heavyweight Championship, formerly the WCW's World Heavyweight Championship. Both titles, as I said, will be on the line. Now, according to WWE.com, which stated that the winner of this match will get both the WWE and World Heavyweight Championships, it will not be a straight unification match. However, during WWE's main event taping on Tuesday night, Triple H appeared on the Titantron and announced that in regards to this match, he wanted only one WWE champion after the match was over. Now, a lot of speculation is going on, of course. Who will walk away with these titles? Will one person walk away with both titles? Will they switch the titles? Cena becoming WWE Champion and Orton becoming World Heavyweight Champion? Are they really genuinely going up to the unification match for these titles? Are we going to see just the single WWE Champion in WWE in 2014? It's going to be quite a situation to keep an eye on. It's, I think, one of the possible drawing cards of WrestleMania 30. There's been reports the last couple of years that WWE wanted to unify the titles since they got rid of the separate brands of Raw and SmackDown. This one we'll keep an eye on. Of course, the Slammies, yes, the WWE are bringing back the Slammies, will happen the the Monday Night Raw before the TLC pay-per-view. So we'll wait and see what happens at TLC. Obviously, that will affect the future of both the WWE and World Heavyweight Championships. Now, talking, as I said right there at the start, about milestones. There is a couple of milestones to cover. Firstly, magazine. FSM, Fighting Spirit magazine, has reached its 100th issue. It's just over 7 years, April 2006, that they started. I actually picked up the very first issue at a newsagent's that I just happened to be going into, picked up, liked it, and I've read it ever since. In fact, there's my copy of the very first issue. Of course, see Rey Mysterio on it. It's a wrestling and bit of mixed martial arts magazine with columns from the likes of Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bill Apter, Magnus, Nick Aldis, who is of course TNA, and actually I'm proud to say in issue 100 for the second time in 3 months, having appeared in issue 98, pictured with Diamond Dallas Page. I am in this issue. You see there, myself and Bret the Hitman Hart. You see there, that was at Scottish Wrestling Entertainment's Heart and Soul event on October 20th at the Bonner Hall in Dundee. So congratulations to everybody involved in FSM, fantastic magazine. I might have a look at more at the 100th issue in a future video. Now, talking of milestones, a career milestone. Well, a couple of them actually. Firstly, Davey Richards and Eddie Edwards. They recently made their debuts, as previously reported, on WWE's NXT developmental territory. They were down there in Tampa, Florida for a week's trial. It's been reported now that they highly impressed, of course, why wouldn't they? NXT trainers like Bill DeMott and Billy Gunn, and NXT's head writer Ryan Ward, and they've recommended to WWE COO. Again, you see Triple H's influence in WWE, and I've still got a bit more of Triple H's influence to come. And they recommended that Triple H sign them. As of right now, I can officially tell you there is no deal yet for the American Pitbulls, as they were called in NXT. TV wrestling show Wrestle Talk TV, presented of course by Joel Ross, one of the guys who runs it. He's a former wrestler and current promoter who has been responsible for bringing companies to the UK such as Ring of Honor, Dragon Gate and Pro Wrestling Noah amongst others. Alex Shane, the former show stealer, The Ascension. Alex Shane is one of the guys responsible for this tour. 6 events taking place in February 2014. They did ask on their Facebook earlier whether anybody would be interested in them adding a Scottish date to this tour, because there's dates in England and one in Wales, and I'll list them in a moment and tell you the website of how to get details. Some merchandise is available and tickets are already available for this. I can't afford to get down to England. I'm not sure what my finances will be like for February, so I don't even know whether, if there was a Scottish date, whether I would be able to get to it. It would be fantastic, obviously. Such a legendary manager, and if anybody doesn't know, probably a lot of people know about the story of Jim Cornette and the Dairy Queen. I did find an extended clip just yesterday of Jim Cornette and the Dairy Queen incident. It's the old VHS video recording of the Dairy Queen. Just search Jim Cornette Dairy Queen extended clip on YouTube, and I'm sure you'll find it. I might actually link it into this video once it's uploaded and processed, etc. So it might be appearing on your screen now. But Jim Cornette will be in the UK, and he will be appearing in February for these 6 events. Firstly, on February 18th at the Comedy Store in Manchester, on the 19th at the Glee Club in Birmingham, a fan dinner on the 22nd at Restaurant 88 in Nottingham, a booking and managing seminar on the 23rd at the Wrestle Talk TV studios in Dagenham in Essex. That night of the 23rd, he will be at the Leicester Square Theatre in London. And the last show announced so far, at least, for the 25th of February 2014, he will be at the Glee Club in Cardiff in Wales. It's JimCornetteLive.com. That's JimCornetteLive.com. live.com for tickets. As I said, some merchandise is already available, which you may be able to get signed by the great man himself on this tour. So tickets, information, times also there. Go to that website for information on that tour, please, because I'm just reporting this and trying to make people aware of this event or these events. Nothing to do with this tour, obviously. I'm nothing official in any capacity to any tours or appearances. So if they don't take place, don't get on to me, or if they don't go well, don't get on me. But that would be great to meet legendary manager Jim Cornette, such a long time manager, promoter in wrestling, huge name, and known all over the world, done so much of it. I thoroughly recommend some of the shoot interviews that he's done before. Absolutely fantastic. The man, whatever you think of him as a manager, a promoter, etc., or even a man himself, he knows his stuff when it comes to wrestling. Now, also talking about landmarks. Now, I haven't really had the chance to really discuss some of the stuff that the Wolfpack said on their UK takeover tour. I was at the event in Glasgow. They did say quite a few things, like Hulk Hogan could be on their side any time. The if they're inducted in the Hall of Fame, that would be great. But if it never happens, then that's fine with them. Because ultimately it comes down to a couple of people in Stamford, Connecticut, whether they like you or not. Also, what Scott Hall said about his son Cody, that nothing will be rushed when it comes to Cody's wrestling career. His son Cody Hall is just started wrestling, to wrestle for about 6 months or so, continuing training with Scott and several other guys, and it seemingly Cody and actually David Benoit, son of Chris Benoit, are possibly looking to the likes of New Japan Pro Wrestling for furthering of their wrestling training. New Japan has been a place, some people may not be a fan of Japanese wrestling, but New Japan is a place where loads of people go to study. People even like Reed Flair studied for a short time there, the late Reed Flair, unfortunately. And New Japan is one of the wrestling organisations in Japan that is extremely famous for always having foreign talent. In fact, right now the World Tag League is underway, and they've got the likes of Lance Archer and Harry Smith now wrestling as Davey Boy Smith Jr. Their tag team is the Killer Elite Squad, part of the Suzuki Gun stable in New Japan, led by Taka Michinoku, former WWE wrestler. So it's very famous for taking certainly foreign wrestlers under their wing and training them. Obviously, it's like Sir Prince Devitt, one of the most famous examples more recently. Now, talking about, again, before move on, career milestones. Xavier Woods, former Consequences Creed in Impact Wrestling, made his main roster debut recently. Now, he was presented by R-Truth and apparently endorsed by Brodus Clay, who didn't appear on the television program. He faced Heath Slater in a decent showing. He's got a lot of potential, this guy, Xavier Woods. He's a very smart guy, studying for a couple of degrees and doctorates right at the moment. I thought JBL, who was sitting on commentary, could be a bit more supportive, because JBL, for those who may not know, is actually the on-screen general manager for NXT at the moment. Again, I don't know what things work backstage, but he's certainly the on-screen general manager for NXT. You'd think he would maybe try to take some take some responsibility for Xavier Woods moving up to the main roster. But he was just like, who's Xavier Woods and what is this kid doing? Obviously, he's been probably told to do that, and he is, of course, a heel commentator, bad guy commentator, but Xavier Woods, good luck to him. Now, talking of Current WWE superstars. Daniel Bryan is going to appear this coming Tuesday on the Steve Austin Show podcast. You can find it on podcast1.com or on iTunes. Just search for the Steve Austin Show or just simply Steve Austin. The family friendly edition is the Tuesday's edition, obviously, so Daniel Bryan will be appearing on that. Austin also has the Steve Austin Show Unleashed version on Thursdays. Normally they're not alternative versions of the Tuesday show. They're normally separate versions, like you had Brian Knobbs, famously of the Nasty Boys, on this week's edition of the Steve Austin Show Unleashed. You had Dusty Rhodes as well, on this week's Steve Austin Show. Absolutely great podcast. It's evolved, it continues to evolve, and it continues to change. It really is a great podcast, especially with Steve Austin having the likes of Ric Flair, Kevin Nash, etc. on, and X-Pac Sean Waltman on the podcast show. It's definitely worthy of checking out. That's the Steve Austin Show, podcast1.com, or on iTunes. Just simply search for Steve Austin. You'll find it. Like I said, family friendly editions are simply known as the Steve Austin Show, and the Steve Austin Show Unleashed, which is the black logo, is for more mature audience. A lot of swearing, sometimes the dubious content. If you're talking about younger viewers, you would not. Some of them you wouldn't want the younger listeners to listen to. But as I said, that's why he has split them. But Daniel Bryan on the Steve Austin Show podcast this coming Tuesday, which is the family-friendly edition. Also check out the Art of Wrestling podcast. That continues to be a great podcast. Just this week, Colt Cabana interviews Matt Morgan. He had Steve Austin on recently. Actually, Austin returned the favour with Colt Cabana on his podcast, each other on their own podcasts. Really worth a listen. Colt Cabana, who knows what the future holds for him? There's been some rumour that Colt Cabana is going to be perhaps going back to WWE. He did spend some time in NXT's Performance Center very recently. He says it himself on the podcast, the last couple of podcasts. Who knows what Colt Cabana will do. Now, Colt Cabana, incidentally, is one of the guys who does motion capture for WWE video games. And talking of the latest WWE video game, WWE 2K14, the next and second downloadable content pack for WWE 2K14 video game will be released on December 3rd in North America and December 4th internationally. The pack includes the following content of Summer Rae, free of charge, Fandango, Big E Langston, Nikki and Brie the Bell Twins, 30 plus new moves and taunts. Now, the season pass to me costs here in the UK £15.99. Some people have been saying if you buy the season pass, you download the DLC for nothing. That's not exactly true. The season pass is you paying for the downloadable content in advance with a little bit of a discount for doing so. So you're not really getting it for free. You're paying, but with a little bit of discount. But I'd say it's worth it, considering the downloadable content, like the NWO, with both Kevin Nash and Scott Hall as NWO, and Kevin Nash Scott Hall as outsider characters, along with Sean Waltman, the likes of Virgil, Ravish and Rick Rude still to come. I'm not sure exactly the details of the third and final, reportedly, downloadable content pack for 2K14. I'll have a look up on that in the next couple of days and report on an upcoming video. But like I said, that's coming out on December 3rd North America and December 4th internationally. Now, WWE has had a lawsuit to contend with recently. The Figures Toy Company filed a lawsuit saying that WWE had tried to cut the middleman out and go directly to the factory that the Figure Toys Company was using to make the WWE replica belts. This lawsuit has been thrown out. Exact details of this lawsuit are not available. Obviously, they'll be unless Figures Toy Company or WWE bring it out. Obviously, it's kind of kept out of the public's eye anyway, but it was dismissed for whatever reason on November 27th. No idea whether Figures Toy Company or WWE will refile any motions. Now, talking about paying things, Bill Goldberg said he has been approached by Triple H about appearing for WrestleMania 30. Reports are that Bill Goldberg wants to make an appearance so his son can see him wrestle, but also that the payment that Bill Goldberg is asking for is quite large payment. Is he going to price himself out of a WrestleMania spot? Obviously, continued chance of Goldberg that haunt Ryback. I think sometimes these guys can ask for a little bit too much. I understand and respect. Well, not perhaps the guys like Goldberg, but other guys like said Brian Knobbs, who's appeared recently on the Steve Austin Show podcast. But guys like Austin himself, actually, who have been there and done that, who've done the show after show, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, who come in, make an appearance around WrestleMania. That's acceptable. If you've legend like that, you've spent your time, you've done your time doing that week, day in, day out, wrestling day in, day out, making appearances day in, day out, and accept all the other stuff that you've done during your career, and you may have had to retire or whatever the reason is you've stepped away from WWE. I understand about some of them coming in, but of course it's got to irk some of the main roster for WWE, guys like the Shield who have worked their rear ends off. And in fact, again, going back to UK Wolfpack Tour, all three, Sean Waltman, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, all agreed that Roman Reigns was actually the one to watch just now when it comes to the Shield, and the performances that Roman Reigns has put in over these last couple of weeks has been absolutely fantastic. So it's going to be good to see in the upcoming few weeks how the Royal Rumble event takes shape and how that will affect WrestleMania. Now, a couple of last few things. Personally, it's kind of an unfortunate section. Best wishes go to two people. Firstly, to Tammy Lynn Sitch, who known as Sunny, who is facing a major cancer operation on December 17th, and certainly, of course, the Dynamite Kid, Tom Billington, who suffered a stroke last weekend. He apparently suffered a couple of mini strokes over the last few months. Best wishes to him and Tammy Lynn Sitch. Of course, no stroke is nothing less than serious, although tweets from his daughter Bronwyn and his niece Georgia Smith, seemingly there are shoots of recovery with the Dynamite Kid, so it's going to be obviously a long road to recovery for both of them, so my best wishes to both of them. Now, talking of British wrestling legend, Marty Jones, the main man Marty Jones, will be appearing for Scottish Wrestling Entertainment tomorrow, Saturday the 30th of November at the Ardler Complex. This is going to be a great event. It's the second last show for Scottish Wrestling Entertainment of 2013, and it has been a tremendous year for 2013 when it comes to the events that SWE have put on. It's their 10th anniversary year. They've had guests like Diamond Dallas Page and Bret Hart and the $1 Million Man Teddy DiBiase again, Doug Williams, Patty Matty Scurll, so many great events, and of course all the guys at SWE have the main roster guys who were there show in show out, like Chad Phoenix, Kevin Williams, Braveheart, the Jackal Jason Costello, Martin Stallion, E.G. Mackey, Jam O'Malley, Chaotica, all of the people involved at Scottish Wrestling Entertainment really worked their tails off, and tomorrow is going to be a great show, as I said, featuring the main man Marty Jones. We do know 3 matches for tomorrow's event, and if you've not been there to Scottish Wrestling Entertainment show before, go along there, you'll really enjoy it. It's going to be a fantastic show. As I said, the second last show of the year. It's going to be great, especially featuring the main man Marty Jones. The 3 matches that we do know so far is, firstly, Viper versus the Jackal Jason Costello for the Future Division Championship. This comes from last month, where Viper almost won the Future Division Championship. However, she managed to make Jason Costello, the Future Division Champion, submit and seemingly win the title. But Braveheart, the owner of SWE, reversed the decision when she refused to release the Boston Crab. This is a very heated one that's got really heated on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook. These two, Viper, she has had going at Jason Costello. Jason Costello has been going at Viper, including on SWE Online TV, the official SWE YouTube channel. It's going to be a great match. Also, we know that Chaz Phoenix will face Scotty Riccio. That should be a great match. Chaz Phoenix has been extremely vicious, even more so than his usual self lately. Scotty Riccio, a young high flyer, great talent. He will be looking to have a great performance against the 4-time SWE champion Chaz Phoenix. And also, in a major announcement just made just before, just while I was actually trying to do this video, a couple of great matches have been announced for this event. Claymore and Tenacious Johnny Lyons will face each other in the ring to decide who goes on to face SWE champion Damien O'Connor in a World of Sport rules match for the SWE championship. That means that one guy will have to wrestle twice in one night, and not only wrestle twice, face two greatly skilled veterans. So it will be Claymore versus Tenacious Johnny Lyons, and the winner of that match will go on to face, later in the night, Damien O'Connor in a World of Sport rules match for the SWE, Scottish Wrestling Entertainment Championship. That is a big ask to take on such a guy like Damien O'Connor. But it's a huge ask to ask Claymore and Tenacious Johnny Lyons to wrestle, then later on in the night have a match against a guy like Damien O'Connor in a World of Sport rules match. World of Sport rules means that it's, I think it will depend on how they do the rules. If we possibly 2 pinfalls, 2 submissions, or a knockout to decide winner. I'm not sure entirely. We'll get to know exactly what the guys need to do to win that World of Sport rules match tomorrow, I'm sure. And certainly guest of the evening, main man Matty Jones, will be present ringside during that World of Sport rules match for the SWE Championship. It's kind of a little bit, I've not really got time to hark back to it, but it's a little bit of, actually, a bit of a history, revisit to history, when you're talking about the SWE Championship, which is actually, in fact, over 25 years old, the lineage of that very championship. They said they will announce Martin's job tomorrow at the event. That is worth going to. 2 highly skilled veterans, when you're talking about Claymore and Tenacious Johnny Lyons, and then one of them is going to face Damien O'Connor, a guy who trains wrestlers, who trained the likes of Nikki Storm, Viper, and so many others at the Source Wrestling School in Glasgow, who's making an impact in companies now like WrestleZone, and I hope a lot of people saw the video of the impact he made at the likes of ICW, Insane Championship Wrestling. He's been one of the most dominant champions in SWE history. I really am amazed at that announcement. That is going to be a hell of an event, and I have to say congratulations to, well done to Scottish Wrestling Entertainment, who have donated quite a few tickets to one of the local radio station, Tate FM's Cash for Kids charity. They've donated quite a few tickets for tomorrow's event to them. That's going to be worth going to. Get along Adler Complex, £7 for adults, £4 for under 14s. Doors will open at 6:45. The show will begin at 7:30. That is going to be a great event, and I'm really looking forward to seeing a lot of people there, to seeing this great show, and to actually to see that World of Sport, championship match, SW championship match really intrigues me. All three guys involved in this are veterans, so I'm certain that Damien O'Connor will be keeping a very, very close eye on Claymore, who really is wanting a match against Damien O'Connor, and Tenacious Johnny Lyons, who has challenged Damien O'Connor a couple of times, a couple of SW events, including their biggest event, Hell for Lycra, this past August, in the he was part of the triple threat match along with former SW champion Mr. News in the great main event of that show. That is going to be a fantastic event. Really looking forward to it tomorrow. So as I see, a lot of wrestling news and events going on. As obviously you can tell, I've finally got back quite unlimited time for my YouTube videos after 6 months of had a strike against me, which is fantastic. Obviously I'm going to try and keep it less than what the video is. That's just now because I'm over 30 minutes. But I thought I'd go ahead and make an extended video, an extended roundup of a lot of the wrestling news. And actually, there's a lot of wrestling news I didn't actually cover in this video. But it's great to be again off and running. Obviously I'm going to take pictures, take a little bit of video of the entrance of Matty Jones tomorrow at the event. It is going to be a fantastic event. I said Adler Complex, Dundee, Scottish Wrestling Entertainment. I've never met a World of Sport superstar. I've met many legends. I've been on Piper's Pit, I've been on SummerSlam 2012, but I've never met. The one thing I love to do, and I'm going to do tomorrow, is meet one of these legends of British wrestling who featured at the World of Sport Days. So looking forward to that. A hell of a lot of wrestling news. And who knows, we're really coming up to the end of 2013 already. It's been quite a year for a lot of reasons, but it certainly looks very promising for the start of the wrestling events, certainly currently scheduled for 2014.